There is a group here. There is a group here calling themselves General Z. Generation Z. Generation Z. There is a group calling themselves Generation Z. I want to teach you history a bit. And the people who are here, you need to understand what I'm about to say. Kenya as a country was colonized in 1920. In 1920. Now we have got 104 years. But 2 years after colonization of Kenya, there was an uprising. That is 1922. And those were young people by that time. They were also young. They were in their 20s and teens. There was an element of this formal education was not there at that point. If there were people who were educated by that time, they were very few. And that's when people like Harry too, they were fighting for something. And they were youth. They were not adults. Fast forward in the 40s, there were people who were also fighting for something in this republic. This individual, for example, this individual who was killed, Kimathi. Dedan Kimathi. Before the emergency of 1952, they made an uprising in the late 40s. They were fighting for something. Immediately before independence in this republic, there was also an uprising for the negotiation of Kenya, the people of Kenya, and Wazungu at Lancaster. For them to sit down. There was a Lancaster House conference.
Hiyo ni nchi. Lancaster ni hiyo.
Okay, wacha nisaidie Okanga pia ni ndugu yetu.
Can you explain me?
Let me explain to you. There was a negotiation, Mr. Speaker. There was a negotiation, Okanga. There was a negotiation between the black Kenyans. Tumeuliza swali ndugu yangu.
Mr. Speaker, niko na kitu kidogo. Nataka kuongea Kiswahili kwa hiyo maneno. Akiweza kubadilisha kwa Kiswahili mpaka kumaliza na mtoa.
So let me continue. So what am I saying?
Kwa nini nasema hivi?
In 19 after the death
kwa matanga
siwaje ajikwe tao kwa matanga after the death okay thank you much, thank you Okanga. I'm talking of Lancaster Conference of 1961.
The conference
also after the death of the first president of the Republic of Kenya, there were also uprising at that time. That's why there was an attempt coup of 1982. Coming forward, there was also a certain uprising between 1988 to 1991. People wanted multi-party. IPPG of 1997 also happened in this country. And these things were happening to young people who are doing these things. It was majorly young people doing these things so that Kenya can move from one place to the other. Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, for us Mr. Speaker, for us to get the new constitution of 2010, there was post-election violence in this country.
Violence.
And you remember very well that majority of people who died were youths.
Wale walikufa ni youths.
That is 2007, 2008.
Mwaka wa 2007.
Omosh. How can you worse than you?
I'm sorry.
Apology. Mr. Speaker.
Apology.
Hao wenye wanapiga kelele niachie tu deal nao. Hao hawezi nipigia.
Apology.
Yes.
You are the speaker, Mr. Speaker. You are the speaker. Don't allow.
If you want a comedy, some is really moving points here, and some people are making noise.
Hatusikie kizungu ni tumaana.
Kumekuwa na ujingine kwa hivi. Na mimi naikemea is the strongest stance possible. Watu wanakuja hapa badala wapate. Mimi nasemanga hivi sasa. Kama mtu anaongea, upate nafasi yake fanya nini? Aongee. Akimaliza ubebe mkono pia uende uongee. Basi mambo ya kutuletea comedy hapa mtafika. Chukua simu yako upige comedy kwa fence.
Now, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I am in 2007-2008 elections. You remember majority of people who died, according to human rights report, they were average of 1,300. Over 99% of these people were youths. We cannot that. And that's why the promulgation of Constitution of 2010 came about. Promulgation of 2010, that's new constitution. So there are this new generation calling themselves Generation Z. They have come about to ensure that there is a seriousness on how the leadership of this country going forward. But there are conmen who are coming about. They are conmen, Mr. Speaker. You know, these individuals are coming about to ensure that the President of the Republic of Kenya, the Parliament of Kenya, the Judiciary of Kenya, they work for the people. But there are these conmen who are coming about all the time, that because they have calculated that now, when people were going for demonstration before 25th of last month, people were going for financial bill, and if you can remember. But along the way, an individual is coming about that Ruto must go. Mr. Speaker, we are going to demonstrate against financial bill. But because we are in our thousands and millions, now you are coming that Ruto must go. Now, Ruto is gone. Who takes over? Because there is no power in vacuum, Mr. Speaker. Always, there is no power in vacuum. And we want to state it very clear. In this, our current dispensation and this constitution, we know very well that at the moment that the president is away, the deputy takes over. So we know that this individual is the beneficiary of this thing. So, for you, because we are demonstrating against the financial bill, and you are telling us now Ruto must go, now you are the one fueling this thing. This is a coup using young people to do an imaginary coup for yourself and your crony. So, Mr. Speaker, I'm not even talking to you. Mr. Speaker, going forward. William Samoei Kipchirchir Ruto, and I want to be very categorical on this. This individual, he should not mismanage Kenya. He is giving these individuals, these conmen, an opportunity to instigate violence using our youth for their own selfish benefits. If William Ruto can ensure that the economy of Kenya is good, these youth cannot be here now that tomorrow or any other day they can demonstrate against him. But he is giving this opportunity by mismanaging the country, Mr. Speaker. So now Raila Odinga is helping you, he is advising us, and we have agreed that going forward there is no mandamano. We have agreed that there is no mandamano going forward. But we are giving him time to implement few things that he has promised. Because we will be back. But we are not giving conmen from a certain corner of the republic an opportunity that they want to go for presidency using backdoor. No way. And I'm telling you, this one we are echoing it from Lamu to Migori to Turkana to Mandera to Garissa to Nyeri and every part of the country. We are not going for demonstration for the sake of going. That's an individual. They are thinking that they own Kenya. They should even carve their villages so that it become a country. They become president there. You know, it cannot happen that now you think that you have a monopoly of controlling this republic. If your man is not in power, you are telling the world that the economy is bad. And we are aware also when your man is in power, economy is bad, but you don't demonstrate, Mr. Speaker. We can't forget that. So, Mr. Speaker, as I finalize, take home. Hey, there are only three. Number one, William and his boys must, he should take this. William Kipchirchir Arap Ruto, the president, must be serious so that this unemployment should be reduced drastically. Because the suffering of youth is just unemployment, nothing more. What are you asking unemployed youth? Now they are suffering. Now again you are bringing more suffering on them. So unemployment should be checked on. Number two, a tribe coming with monopoly mentality in this republic is uncalled for, and other people should not fall on that trap. We are calling our young people. We must not fall on that trap. We must come together and ensure that, you remember, I want to count for you, Mr. Speaker, just give me 1 minute. Countries.
Ukimalizia hiyo 1 minute. Utatuelezea what happened. Maoni yako. Kalonzo. Na whatever happened there. What is your opinion?
Oh, I'm giving that. That will be that. In 1 minute. We are aware, Mr. Speaker, that countries that fall on these coup d'etats, they don't rise again. And if they do, it takes over 20 years or even 50. There are countries, for example, in Africa, they did a revolution in 2011. Up to date, they are being controlled by an army general called Al-Sisi. That was Egypt. You remember? There's an individual called Al-Sisi. They did a revolution. Then the Brotherhood came in. You remember Brotherhood and the people who killed Sadat in 1981. So they came in 2012, the same person was overthrown. And now Al-Sisi, over 10 years down the line, is the president. No serious elections in that country. I'm giving you Sudan. It happened some few years ago. I don't know, 3 or 4. They did away with al-Bashir. What's happening? Sudan now, people are just fighting. Let me give you Libya for example. Libya, NATO and Europe and America brainwashed population. They turned against Muammar Gaddafi, Mr. Speaker. Since 2011 up to date, There is a president for the north, for the east, and a president for the west. There are president who control Tripoli. There's a president who controls other parts of the country. So we must check on that. And if you want to go for coup, finish it once. You can't go alafu na promise kwamba nitarudi kesho. That's a lie. Now, Mr. Speaker, you have asked me why something. I'm done with whatever I was saying. You have asked me something on a good man called Kalonzo Stephen. That is a senior counsel, the former vice president, and he's also one of the new officials, one Kenya. Mr. Speaker, this individual called Kalonzo Musyoka. There was a time, Mr. Speaker, and we must not forget. There was a time. This Kalonzo Musyoka, Eugene Wamalwa, and there was an individual called, who is the deputy president? I always forget his name. Gachagua. These three individuals, they were seated somewhere in Central. And what was the discussion? Discussion was a Kamba community to be returned to Gema. These cartels called Gema. Can you remember that? He was promised that if that goes successfully, in 2027, he will be the presidential candidate for Gemas. Now, forgetting the mistake he did in 2006 by running away with ODM Kenya, he has started disturbing us in Azimio. Now, Mr. Speaker, we have not forgotten. We can only forgive, but we cannot forget. In 2006, this individual, he used some funny individuals here in his villages, that they ran with ODM Kenya. It took William Ruto, Raila Odinga, Balala to buy ODM from an individual from Meru. They bought a political party towards the general election of 2007. So this individual want to hold Raila Odinga hostage so that Raila Odinga can just oppose William Ruto, so that they have that division in Kenya, ile ya kucheza cheza, thinking that in 2027 the gamer community will support him for presidential election in Kenya in 2027. We have never forgotten. And if Kalonzo Musyoka can forget what he did in 2006, he want to repeat it in 2026, 2027. Barely 20 years later. My friend, I'm asking you not to forget what he did in 2006. Never forget. Maybe you are not born. Were you born? Maybe you are not born. But I'm giving you this serious issue. This is a reason issue that you must know. So, Kalonzo Musyoka disturbing us with funny writings because he left. Raila Odinga is seated at Jaramogi Odinga Foundation in a meeting, Kalonzo Musyoka with other leaders. Then Kalonzo walks out. He walks out. He comes back when Raila has already left with a certain media, with a certain paper written with an unknown person. And Kalonzo want to read this thing that Raila has agreed that this is what Azimio is saying. But you walked out from the meeting where we were negotiating. Mr. Speaker, Kalonzo, nobody, it was just a time I was up, ilikuwa usiku, people were leaving. Now people were arranging kiti kidogo kidogo. Yeye akatoroka. I don't know why he was running. But we will never forget what he did in 2007. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.